Welcome to Maple Grove for Section 8 Girls Lacrosse. Tonight, a semifinal matchup between the number 4 seed, Elk River Rogers Zimmerman Elks, and the number 1 seed, the Maple Grove Crimson. Hi, I'm Jay Wilcox along with Dan Ficken. And Dan, these teams met back in the mid part of April. 10-7 Maple Grove win, but not great weather that day. The teams have changed a lot since then, so you kind of throw that one out a little as they go for round 2 here.
Well, in a way, it was a close game, and that tends to be the earmark of the Elk River team this year. They are a better team. They're coming in here on a 4-game winning streak. I've done a real good job getting more consistent as the season went by. They're a young team as well as Maple Grove, but they're finding their bearings, and this is a way different team than what Maple Grove faced earlier in April.
Maple Grove, of course, going to the state tournament last year after winning this section, but they graduated an awful lot from that team. It's no sure thing that they were going to be this strong this year, but they've come a long way themselves.
Well, how about a sophomore and a 9th grader leading your top 2 scorers? I mean, they've really stepped up to the plate. The young ones have come up and done a great job. They got a veteran goaltender. That's kind of solidified the backside, and they've been very consistent. They can do everything they need to do as far as scoring and play defense, and they've shown that throughout the entire season. So they deserve the seed they got. We'll see if they can play up to it now against Elk River.
The teams had kind of different quarterfinal games. For Maple Grove, they ended up winning by 9, but their coaches didn't feel they played especially well, especially in the first half. For Elk River Rogers Zimmerman, they had a 1-goal win over Wayzata, but they were pretty thrilled because they know Wayzata, even though the record wasn't great, has generally been a strong program.
Well, you got to look at the schedule Wayzata plays. They're in the late conference. They play top teams all the way through. So despite their record, you got to be a little afraid of them. But here's what Elk River's done. They've had 5 1-goal differential games like this Wayzata game. They've won 4 of them. So they know how to play under that pressure. And they've done a good job getting here, and it's given them a lot of confidence. Okay, where was that Wayzata? Why not Maple Grove? Let's give her a run here. And they've got a player that can get it done for them, too.
Yeah, let's look at key players in this evening's contest. And not a real difficult choice when you're talking about Elk River. Raylan Kornek is just one of the really elite players in the Northwest Suburban Conference.
Tremendous, 73 points this year. But not only that, she's got double-figure assists. She's one of their better draw winners, which is very important in girls lacrosse. And she also is one of their top ground ball winners. I mean, she does it all. She can play defense. She can score. She really does it all. So, like I said, the straw that stirs the drink, she's going to have to be on her game today. They're going to throw a box and 1 at her and really clamp down on her. The other players on Elk River have got to pick it up and put some balls in the net for them.
And as we said, the young player leading Maple Grove in scoring this year, Emily Ardennes, had a fantastic season for the Crimson.
Same thing, 70 points. She's really stepped it up in draws and ground balls. Works with Corbin and Bracebo to give them a real triad of strength right down the guts between attack and middle. And she's done a tremendous job. She's a spark. She dishes the ball quite well. But she is tough in the middle, and that's where Maple Grove likes to go. They set their attack up in the guts in the slot, and she's always been very effective there, getting the ball and being able to throw it into the net. So we'll watch her to do that.
The winner will go on to play for the section championship on Wednesday night against the winner of the Buffalo Osseo Park Center semifinal. That's also going on here on Monday evening. Stay tuned. We'll have the start of tonight's contest here coming up. It's Section 8 Girls Lacrosse, ERZ against Maple Grove up next. Beautiful afternoon / early evening for this playoff lacrosse matchup here between Elk River Rogers Zimmerman and Maple Grove. As you look at Stephanie Anderson, the Elks head coach, and feeling pretty good about what her team's been able to do down the stretch. And in that win, as we said, over Wayzata, and they come into this one feeling like, if they take care of business, there's no reason that they shouldn't be right in this game and with a good chance to win it.
No, absolutely. Like I said, they only got beat 10-7 the last time they played them in a rainy scenario. They've had good weather, and they put together 4 straight wins and one over Wayzata. They're thinking right now they got the confidence to maybe pull an upset here.
Maple Grove, Haley Karate, we said they beat Monticello 19-10 in the first round. She said the first half was not to her liking. Second half was much better, and she said, we know we cannot afford that kind of thing tonight where we just come out a little slow and not quite ready to play at our peak right from the beginning, because Elk River is a much better team than what they saw in the first round.
Yeah, well, that first round can be dangerous. We've seen that a lot of times. Some of the number 1 seeds generally tend to get knocked off in the first round, and they weathered it. They learned a little something about it, brought their game back in the second half, and here they are in the semis, and I'm looking forward to a really good match. I think this is going to be close. I think it's going to be tight, and don't be surprised if the Elks pull one off here tonight, Jay.
Emma Dalton, third year as their varsity regular, played almost all of the minutes for them this season for Elk River. And, of course, Dan, we were talking earlier that, in boys lacrosse, Rogers has its own separate team. In fact, your son Kyle is the head coach.
Yep.
Whereas for the girls, the number's not quite strong enough so that they are still all combined. It's all one school district, Elk River, Rogers, Zimmerman, District 728. And there's a look at Coco Francis, a veteran goalie in this sport and in hockey for the Crimson.
Going to college on a hockey full ride, well deserved. She's been a mainstay in the pipes for the Crimson for about, 4 seasons now, 3 seasons? She's going to have to be good tonight, though.
Kornek and Herdeen will face off to begin this one here. We'll see who can maybe grab a little early momentum, even the opening face-off to establish some possession and maybe get an early threat can be big.
Well, Kornek's won about 55% of her draws here, and she steps up to the plate and is all-around player. Herdeen also. She's won 37 so far this year.
Quick call going against the Crimson, so Elk River looked like Maple Grove was going to get the draw, but instead the Elks will get it now. Riley Springman dropping it off to Kornek. They're really going to keep an eye on her, try and lock her down tonight.
Well, it looks like Chloe Corbin's going to be the person that's going to stay on Kornek today. So we'll see wherever she goes, she's going to get covered.
Hallie Johnson controlling here for the Elks. Slips it in front. Kornek walking to the front of the net and is able to put it away. And the Elks are on the board very early in this one.
Poor Chloe Corbin. She's up against one of the premier players in the state. And 2 real strong moves by Kornek. Got her open, and they got the pass to her they were looking for. They got her in the middle. You can see that was her second cut there, and she picked it up, went high-low into the lower corner. Corbin just couldn't make the cut with her.
Johnson did a nice job of putting that ball where it needed to be on the pass, too, because the defender wasn't that far behind her. If that pass was a little bit off target, it would have been a chance to stop it for the Crimson, but instead ERZ gets on the board.
Well, you and I were talking. This probably isn't the first time that Kornek's had somebody stuck on her for the entire game, a shadow, so to speak, so they're probably pretty used to it.
Crimson will get their first extended possession here. Chloe Corbin working her way up the right side, and Cutters making their way as Corbin circles the net. Drops the pass off, and Herdeen looking to get an angle for a shot, but couldn't.
You'll see Herdeen, Corbin, and Casivo tend to be the triad. They work very well together, and one of them usually ends up with it on a stick.
And there's a goal for Maple Grove as they answer quickly. This one is Jersey Baranek finishing off the nice pass, and we are evened up at 1 apiece.
Well, as I talked about the triad, they dished it off to somebody else who wasn't part of that, the top 3 scorers from Maple Grove, but Baranek made a nice play here. Herdeen's looking for her, just gets it over to her. Real nice pass, like you said, Jay. Put it right where that needed to be, and she could fire away and put it in the net, tie the game up.
This was the 59th goal of the year, by the way, for Kornek, and answering there, Baranek getting her 8th for the Crimson, so it didn't take long, and we are even up at a goal apiece, and not terribly surprising that we're going to see each team get their opportunities here, I would believe, in this one.
Well, Elk River averages about 10.5 goals a game. Maple Grove 11 goals a game. So there's only 1 goal difference there. So they're going to be able to put the ball in the net. It's going to come down to goaltending and who can stop when they need to.
And they obviously have played, a lot of the same opponents, both being in the Northwest Suburban Conference as well. So similar opposition to look at. Here's Herdeen scooping it up.
And we got a stick up in the halo area, so there'll be a free possession here.
Herdeen gets the go-ahead and fires, and Dalton able to make that stop for ERZ as you steal one here and there.
Yeah. Again, we've talked about this before. Not necessarily how many you save, it's when you save them. But they all add up at the end.
Haley Ackerman on the move there. Had it knocked loose, but Hallie Johnson recovering it for the Elks. Johnson getting a step, goes all the way through and finishes nicely. Johnson looked like she got her goggles knocked a little, but didn't seem to bother her as she's able to finish it off and score.
That's what you call focus there, Jay. Gets right through there. Hallie Johnson scoring her 16th of the year. She's their 3rd leading scorer. Made a nice move. Just didn't even hesitate. Came through. Didn't have to switch hands. Found the spot, and boy, I'll tell you what, she got into that left-hand side, getting a high-low shot. But nice move right there to split the D and come in all alone. Nice goal. And that's what they really need. Elk River's going to need somebody besides Braylon Kornek to score tonight. So if they can get a few more from other people, it's going to be an interesting night.
So a 2-1 lead for the visitors from Elk River here. And the Crimson able to gain control off the draw as Casibo working her way up the right side.
It'd be interesting to see. I've watched, we've had a chance to watch Maple Grove play one time this year, and I was really impressed with their possession inside the attack zone. They're a patient team. They can score a lot of goals, but they take the time and get the right shot. They don't force it unless they've got numbers.
Another quick call going against Elk River will allow Herdeen lots of space to look at the net, and she buries it.
Tied up. Somebody moved ahead of time before on the Elk River team in the circle area there. But Herdeen coming through again. Got a good. She had a good opportunity before that, but was saved by Dalton. And this one she got through a high-low shot. When it bounces like that, Jay, it's tough for a goalie to really make a save there. But she looks like she's ready, and Herdeen back on the board.
50th goal of the year for Herdeen.
Sophomore. She's going to be scary. I'm sorry.
And we said for Kornek, her 59th. So we could be seeing a couple of the milestones reached here if she can get to 60 tonight. And hard to bet against that based on how many she's been scoring on an average night. Nice pass drop back. Here comes Kornek up the left side. Had it knocked loose, but they recover it here. Emma Rodemarco. We're going to regroup up top here now as Riley Springman controls it for the Elks.
Stayed up top of the 12-meter mark and just kind of rolled, see what happened, see who was going with. Now we'll see who cuts. Now if you notice, the person behind the net for Elk River is all by herself. That's because somebody's marking Kornek all the way. So they're going to find somebody open.
Annie Dalton with it. Springman trying to get loose. Wading through traffic and offensive. Looks like it'll be.
Well, it's like basketball. A defender can establish position, and there is charging in this game. If a defender establishes position, the person with the ball has got to move off to an angle and away. They can't run into him.
Casibo speeding up field here for Maple Grove. Flicks the pass over to Grace Ford. Crimson getting into their offense here as Ford turned back. Now Herdeen. Shoveling it over there to Corbin. Corbin lost it for the moment, but then was knocked down by Johnson.
Yeah, stick check into the legs there for Corbin. She went down, so she gets a free position.
Corbin going to the middle, cut off, so keeps possession. Going to try and shovel that one through, but Dalton is in the way and makes the stop. I think she might have missed Taylor Helvey open out front there.
Well, the biggest problem she had, she couldn't switch hands. She couldn't go over to her left hand to make it easier pass. She tried to work it through her right hand and underhand it.
And that shot is deflected as Baranek tried to put another one away for Grove. Haley Hartledge up with it here now for Elk River. Didn't quite connect on that pass. This will be Elk River possession here. Yep.
Dalton's been doing a real nice job for Elk River here. You can see come in and do the little shovel, and she's right there. Has her body in the way, and it's tough to get that basket down because usually holding it up. And she had it down in good position, saw what was happening, and made a nice save. That's 2 so far for Dalton today.
And if you're going to save one with your body, you're glad it's that one, the little underhand flick that didn't have a whole lot of steam on it.
Yeah.
And makes a nice stop that time up top as Corbin tried to sneak it over her shoulder. So far Dalton has made some stops that are keeping Elk River tied right now.
She holds her ground. She got up to the top of the crease too. She didn't sink back in and did a nice job making that save. But boy, these turnovers, Jay, they're going to come back to haunt Elk River.
That was the first thing Coach Karate from Maple Grove really mentioned, is that she felt like the team that avoids turnovers in this game is going to be the team that wins. And, you know, to a certain extent, that's true in every game, but she really felt like in this matchup it was especially true. Bounces around, and the Elks regain control. Ellie Unick. Stepping to the middle and then getting it back out of there is Emma Brodemarkel for the Elks.
Smart play too, Jay. The Elks just need to sit back and get into their offense. They're trying to force things a little bit too much. There's a pass forced into the middle. Sit back, be patient, and watch for the openings.
Annie Dalton got it back after her first pass attempt was blocked by Herdeen. Dalton will drop it behind. Looked like they might have had a cutter there that they could have gotten it to and missed her. Now Johnson with it. Realized she didn't have a great angle. She's, close to the net actually, but a defender there and not much of an angle either. So they'll this time be a little patient with it as Riley Springman.
You see Kornek really working hard to try and get herself open.
They get it to Kornek here and fake the pass back out top. Now looking to attack. I say it's for her, I'm sure she's feeling like it's been a while since she's had the ball and been a while since she's had a shot attempt. She did score the first goal of the game just 43 seconds in, and now from the free position here, Kornek will get ready to try and line it up. She's going to play for Concordia St. Paul next year.
I think that's the second-year program, and boy, they got a good player there to get that program kicked off, boy.
Francis able to make a stop as that time Kornek kind of just putting one middle of the net, about shoulder high.
Yep.
Not a real strong placement on that one. Crimson counter attack quickly here, and they get a goal out of it as Abby Bai finishes. It did not take long to get the ball back upfield, and Maple Grove goes in front.
Abby Bai, the sophomore. The last time we saw them play against Centennial, she was the catalyst. She got them off and running there in the first half. When they were shutting down Herdeen and stuff. But see a good pass up top to her, breaking nicely. She makes a quick move there and then gets up top and brings it straight down into the corner.
Katie Wheeler delivering a nice pass as you saw that Bai quickly was ready to congratulate Wheeler too for getting her into position for that goal. So Maple Grove in front for the first time as they've scored the last 2 goals now. And they gain possession off that draw as well as Corbin working her way up the right side. Drops the pass back to Herdeen, and she scores. Corbin putting it right on target, and boy, Herdeen did not take long to wind up there. She was in shooting position as soon as she caught that one.
Well, as we were talking in pregame, Maple Grove loves to live in that slot, right in the middle, and they send cutters right down there whenever they get into a set situation. And Herdeen's really good at grabbing that ball and ripping it, and we've seen her do that before, and that's been the secret to her success. She's strong enough, too, Jada, to get it done. But you see it come back, and she just steps in a little bit above the 8-meter mark and lets her rip.
You know, and watching them a little bit earlier this year and so far here tonight, too, I like the way they use angles, too. Some teams seem to kind of go the predictable route always with their passes in close, and they seem to be better at that than some of the others, just seeing the game well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a look at the bracket for this tournament, in Maple Grove taking on ERZ in this one, and then Osseo Park Center taking on Buffalo in a game that's actually starting a little bit later. And the final is predetermined to be at Osseo, so Maple Grove, it would be a little strange if they end up as the #1 seed but playing on the road if Osseo Park Center wins that other semi. But I understand it to an extent as well. You have to plan ahead for some of these things, which stadiums are going to be in use.
Yeah. And frankly, if it gets down to the final, I don't think home field advantage makes that much difference, to be honest with you.
No, if that 4-mile road trip, or maybe it's not even, probably a little less than that, isn't too big of a deal. And obviously the fields are the same, but still, there'll be times when you get irritated that it works out that way too.
Oh, yeah. It's just really nice that the Osseo District put in, these artificial turf fields, which work very well for lacrosse, because they don't get torn up throughout the season. There's true bounces all the way through. So, it takes that factor out of the game. You know what you're going to get when you step onto these fields. But it's been nice, too. There's that little rivalry going on between OPC and Maple Grove, too. But they're both pretty good teams, and they have been for the past few years. I think they met in the final last year, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah. And so we could see a rematch. But I think the Elks might have something to say about it, and I think Buffalo will, too.
We were talking before the game that, the Northwest Suburban Conference, roughly half and half with artificial turf and not. Elk River is one that does not have turf fields, and I asked their coach, Stephanie Anderson, about, which they prefer, and she said it's about half and half on our team, and a player who was standing by heard me. She chimed in and said, no, I like grass better. So it isn't universal.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of it is what you get used to playing on as well. But certainly, there's no doubt about it, the weather part and not getting chewed up throughout a season, a strong check mark in favor of the turf, no doubt about that. But I do think there are, the benefits being probably a little easier on the legs, I think, on the grass field. And also, it's not quite as hot on a day like today.
Yes.
You're out on the grass field, it's not nearly as warm. So there are benefits each way, obviously. Elks control the draw. Riley Springman getting it ahead, and here comes Kornek. Kornek doesn't want to be denied this time, but is turned back.
Well, you saw that double team come there, Jay. Before they had a chance to really cover, they brought both people at him.
Wow, Corbin, great hands there and great concentration as she ends up ultimately with the interception, and then the call going against ERZ. So nice job defensively by Grove.
Okay, just one thing so we can get straight so Jay and I don't have to keep commenting on it. Most of these stops of possession are due to stick checks. They can't be toward the body. They can't be down on a stick if the stick's on the ground. And they can't be toward 9 inches of what they call a halo around the girls' heads. So most of these calls that you see when they stop play, that's what it's about.
Herdeen attacking here from Maple Grove, goes right to the net, and the last little move was to fool Dalton, and she did exactly that. Not much fun to be a goalie on a play like that.
And Dalton was not happy with herself there, too. She knows she got juked pretty good there. Herdeen with a great move. I think that's her third goal, isn't it, Jay? Hat trick?
Yep.
Nice move here, though. Look at it. She comes across, goes to the right, and then she'll break right there across her left. She didn't switch hands, but she's got a pretty good backhand shot there.
Well, and as much as we praise and coaches like to see a lot of good passing, there's no doubt there's something to be said for having somebody who can just go get you a goal at times too.
You know what? Players like that, make you look really good as a coach. You got to let him play a little bit, you know. But what I like about it, though, too, is that on this Maple Grove team, yes, Ardennes identify well. They really spread the ball around a lot, though. They've got 5 girls that are in double-figure points on this team. And you know, despite having some stars, that's a real remarkable trait for a team this good.
Casebo drops the pass off. Ardennes has some space. Now it quickly closes up. Kornek chasing her to the outside. Ardennes will drop that pass back. Wheeler.
You know, right now, this is the big difference I'm seeing between the two teams. Maple Grove knows when to slow it down. Don't force it. Take your time. Set up a play. And they're very good at getting open. It doesn't necessarily have to be Ardennes.
Taylor Helvey possessing here as they're trying to, I think they're trying to draw the Elks into getting a little out of position to allow space for a cutter, and then that pass retrieved by Casebo nicely. Dalton was a little bit slow going for it there, like she wasn't sure if she should go after it.
You know, trying to draw her out to force the play, but Casebo coming in, scooping up real nice and getting possession back again. And that's half the battle, too. Even when you put a ground ball down there, I mean, to win the ground ball back, I mean, Maple Grove's been very good at it this year.
Corbin stopped and then starts again. Missed the net up high, and that's one thing they've not done much tonight. You know, Dalton stopped a few of their shots, but the 5 of them have gone in. She's probably saved another 4, and that was really the first one where they, you know, missed the net by a fair margin.
Well, it's a funny thing, Jay. You know, if you don't hit the net 100%, you don't score. So, just going to look at that. Maple Grove, they win 20 ground balls per game. That's a nice figure to have. And, you know, when you see percentages like that, that tells you they're a good team.
Casebo now drops the pass back, and Ardennes is able to bury it. Ardennes' 3rd straight and 4th of the game, but good patience by Casebo. A good example of it right there. Casebo thought she had some room to work with. Then it closed up, and she didn't panic, didn't take a bad shot, didn't throw a bad pass. She realized that it's not that bad a thing to just maintain possession and spread it out and wait for a cutter, and that's exactly what happened right there.
Well, and the difference here, too, you see where Dalton's basket was. It was up high, and she made a couple saves that were either shoulder high or waist high, but Ardennes now is going high-low, and they're all starting to shoot high-low, and they're testing Dalton's ability to get that basket down quickly to cover. We saw that one save where she got her body in the way, but her basket was already down there.
Maple Grove has really started to take this one over a little bit here now. They have put 5 in a row on the board, have a 6-2 lead. Here comes Corbin looking for more. Puts it right out front, and Helvey buries it. Helvey left alone, and Corbin dropped it off to her at the perfect time, and Helvey, all she had to do was turn and finish, and that's what happened. Grove is up by 5.
Grove spreads the ball around. Everybody gets an opportunity if you're open, and Helvey just stayed open. Nice play here by Corbin coming down. Look at that pass. Right to the front of the net. And she was standing there just doing a nice job, took her time. Again, went high-low because that basket just cannot come down quick enough when you're that close.
Helvey's 18th of the year.
Again, she was one of the kids that sparked them against Centennial getting going. So, you know, Maple Grove can come at you from a lot of different angles.
So what seemed like a pretty even game for the first 8-10 minutes, all of a sudden Maple Grove has really started to take over. And obviously, still a lot of time to go. It doesn't mean building a lead means game over by any stretch in this sport especially. And there's another goal put away right there by Chloe Corbin as Maple Grove continues to play calm and confident lacrosse and hitting the net on seemingly at will here in the last few minutes.
Well, Grover's got to start establishing position in the guts there. I mean, you see where they're going. They're going right in the middle. You know, make sure you get in the way and establish position before they get there. And they were just a half step too late. And Maple Grove's good enough to catch it and shoot at the same time. And, you know, Chloe Corbin, she's been the second leading scorer in this team all year. If that's her first goal tonight, that's her 24th goal. And she's a 9th grader.
So an 8-2 lead here for Maple Grove as they play a strong first half here on their home field. And they will once again control it off the draw.
Now there was a good play. There's a good play by number 3 for Elk River. She established Hallie Hartledge. She established position, got back in front of her, and stopped her from getting close to the 12-meter mark.
Out front, it glances off. Helvey, one of the few times that they haven't quite connected in a similar situation here, of late especially. Long pass ahead, a little too long here, and now a battle for it, and the call will go against Maple Grove as coming over the top with the stick was Andrea Coons.
Yep, there we go, another illegal stick check.
And now the Elks to the attack. Out front it comes, and put away there by Kornek. She hasn't had too many opportunities of late and made that one count.
Well, she got herself in front right away. Didn't waste any time. And they looked for her right away and got it to her. And she buried it. And, boy, the Elks needed that one really quick. But nice move here. And Coco Francis kind of helpless, too. She did a good job getting that basket in the way, but wasn't quite enough to stop Kornek.
Kornek's 60th of the season right there. And so obviously a dangerous player, but they just haven't had enough opportunities offensively. Maple Grove's possessed and converted on their possessions an awful lot of late, but you know, the comebacks have to start one goal at a time, and that's what Elk River's hoping for, but they did not get this draw.
Well, they got to force some turnovers now too, Jay, and just establish an offensive, presence out there to take some time away from Maple Grove. I mean, Maple Grove's been the one that's been establishing position and moving it around, and Elk River's rarely seen the ball, for heaven's sakes, and that's the one way they're going to get back in this thing. They got to get some stops and then do some offensive possession.
So Maple Grove's done a good job too of converting when they do get the chances, but also, like you said, taking their time. I mean, that's part of it as well. You feel like you never have the ball if you're Elk River, then you start to press a little bit.
Yep.
Corbin looking for some space, goes right to the net and right up and over the top of Dalton. Just a little sneaky move there. Corbin getting her second goal of the game, and I say that in a good way, of course.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was a nice move. I mean, Dalton was fooled by it. Obviously, she had to do something, and Corbin just kind of looked like she was going to pass it off. We'll see her come around here. She kind of slows it up a little bit, and then all of a sudden, no, I think I'll go for it. Nice play. So the Crimson come back and answer right away. It might be interesting to see if they start switching up some draw people. Riley Springman, number 9, has been an effective draw winner for the Elks. She's won over 50 of them this year. So Kornek, as good as she is, she's been having a tough time against Ardennes winning these draws.
This time it bounces around and controlled ultimately by Corbin as Kornek slipped. Now Casebo.
So Casebo's a little fired up about that. Did you see that fist bump when she got the ball?
And turns, and defender got in the way enough there to alter that shot anyway. Kayla Wallstrom being pressured. Wallstrom loses it. Casebo up with it here for Maple Grove. Finding Herdine.
Uh-oh.
Herdine turns the corner and scores. Looked like she was forced out of the middle, and maybe that was going to be the end of the threat for the moment anyway, but she felt just as strong about being able to get it from the right side there.
Well, she's naturally right-handed, Jane. She came across, and I'll tell you what, she brought that right across her body at a bad angle and found the opening that beat Dalton. That was a very difficult angle to shoot from. You see here, they double her and get her pushed off to the side, but you can see she had a bad angle there and brought it in through the short side and beat Dalton with it.
So Maple Grove seemingly saying, once Elk River got that third goal, if you think you're going to just get right back in it, guess again.
Yeah, we still got 9:16 left in the first half, and we got a 7-goal differential. Elk River's going to have to do something here. They need to change some things up. That's the first one Kornek's won in a long time. Big one.
And Raylan Kornek going to the net here, but get a whistle to stop play. She'll get an opportunity from the free position here. Kornek's had a couple goals, but they've generally been able to limit her somewhat tonight, but not that time, as she is able to bury that one for the Elks. So Kornek getting her third of the night, 61st of the year.
Basically, her and Hallie Johnson are the only ones that have really scored for the Elks here. And then we're talking about some other people have got to put the ball in the net, you know. But then sometimes too, when you get somebody that good, it's tough for the other players, you know, to kind of step up to the plate, get open, and make an opportunity on that. I mean, it's great having a Kornek, but you got to make sure the other players are involved too. Now, real key here, if Kornek can win the next couple of draws, that could change things really quickly here in the next minute or next few minutes here.
Really hard to overemphasize how important draws are in this sport. I mean, it just, possession, it really makes a huge difference. Even, you know, they're important in hockey also, but not quite to the same extent.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, my gosh, I've seen teams come back in college from 10 goals down and win.
Herdeen missing the net that time as a rare, as we said, for the Crimson, rare time of not putting the ball on the frame of the goal there, but they'll get possession. Leafy is here. They got to love that. Here's Casibo.
I feel kind of bad for Leafy. I bet you a little warm.
I was thinking the same thing, and I thought it's an away game too, but I'm thinking you would not see the person in the full elk costume today either.
No.
Otherwise, they'd be dropping over.
Oh, my.
So, an opportunity here for Maple Grove to increase the lead. Casibo bouncing it home for the Crimson. They continue to score at a good pace in this game. You know, sometimes you think maybe what seems to be a relatively evenly matched in a playoff game that you might not see quite as much scoring, but Maple Groves just seem to be continuing to play the game they've played all year.
Yeah, they're just clicking. I mean, Jay, I think you said two things that is the standard. They're winning draws, they're winning the ground ball battles, and the other important factor is they're hitting the net. They've only, like you said, we've only missed twice throughout this game that we've noted, and it's making all the difference in the world here. They've already met their game goal average, and I hate to say this, but they get better in the second half. Oh, man, what a beautiful draw that was.
Here they come again with Casibo right to the front, and she scores. It seems to have been put in their head, too, that no lead is enough to be satisfied with. We're going to continue attacking the way that we have.
Well, this is a section game. It's very important. These games are one and done type thing, and you better take care of business. And in lacrosse, though, it's different because you can come back. I mean, you win 4 or 5 draws in a row and score on them, and all of a sudden this is really a close game. So I can't blame them for going after it and putting it away. But, you know, Elk River, they let her come in way too close into that middle area, into that guts area. And when she got to the 12-meter mark, the farthest arc out there, they should have had 2 people on her stopping her right now.
Hallie Johnson drops it off to Kornek.
Hallie Johnson was open there. And she was a trailer. If she would have got that ball back, she would have been in great position to take a pass and shoot. But I like this. I like the fact they're settling down now, Jay. Maybe they can patiently get into their offense.
Springman wanted to turn the corner. Casibo stayed on her shoulder nicely there to keep it from happening. And then a little bit of a slash, it looked like, though, as Brodemarkel tried to take it to the goal.
You know what I really like here, though? You notice Maple Grove's D, whenever they're close inside that 8-meter mark right there, there's 2 people on the ball carrier. And they slide well.
Francis a save, and another.
Wow.
Makes a nice stop. The second one was much tougher. Marie Reimer was in close and tried to put it over the top of Francis, but it didn't work. Now picked up again here by Raylan Kornek for Elk River, and that pass getting away. Here they come again, though, with Haley Ackerman. Reimer tracks it down here for the Elks. Not a lot of possession time in this first half for them, and led to them trailing it by 8. Here comes Hallie Johnson to the net. Francis got a piece of that one.
Well, a couple things here. They won a couple ground ball battles here, Jay, and they're working, and they're getting some good opportunities here. Good save by Coco Francis. Then the second one was the big one. There's the first one with the body, and then she went right after with a basket. Good save. Went attack.
That one bounces right through the middle there from a tough angle. Reimer picks it up again for ERZ. Springman tries to turn the corner. Looked like it might have grazed the top of the crossbar as Francis came out aggressive and wasn't going to concede that, turning of the corner there.
But that back door should be open. They're drawing 2 defenders. Either the back door or the gut should be open. Coach Karate is questioning the call.
That's if it glances off her stick, not a ground ball pickup. See, that's if it glances off her stick, not a ground ball pickup. Big stick.
Reimer will restart it here for the Elks as Coach Karate does not win the argument, as that generally is the case with officials, right?
She's making the case for the next page.
Yep.
Yep.
Herdine dropping it off to Francis. And Francis will fling it upfield. Here's Casibo picking up that ground ball. We're seeing a little bit of the overall speed advantage for Maple Grove showing up a little bit too. Here's Casibo, gets to the front and scores another. Casibo's 3rd straight for the Crimson.
She's just all hustle. She's that one player you hate to play against and you really love having on your team because she's just a pest. She's been after ground balls, really work, and really a nice mover. Just gets around the defender and just decides I'm going through. Nice play.
Casibo goals number 23, 24, and 25. Putting 3 in a row on the board and a 13-4 lead as Maple Grove continues to pretty well dominate this contest.
See if some new players now get in here for the last 4 minutes of the half here to give the starters maybe a bit of a rest in this heat for the second half.
Yeah, it is, fairly recent that we've started to get to temperatures like this after playing through some cold weather earlier. So I do believe that it probably is going to be, I know they're young and in shape, but I think it does take a little bit out of you to be out here in this heat. So probably not a bad thing to come over and, water up, especially, and also get off your feet for, whether it be 4 or 5 minutes only or even a little more.
Yep.
Here's Herdine and hits the net again. Coming out to try and cut down the angle and stop her up high there was Dalton, but just could not do it.
Herdine's deadly from that right side. We've seen that the whole game. She comes across the body really well with that right-handed shot and just buries it. Just a little hesitation move. Just gave her enough of an opening to get in there and get past the defender.
Yeah, you're looking at, against a lot of players that wouldn't have been especially bad defense, but she has shown an ability to score from that spot on a regular basis, and not just tonight.
Well, 70-point scorers don't need a whole lot of room to put it away, and she's certainly shown an adeptness at it, and has done a really good job. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Look at Casibo. Just aggressive, just hangs it. Look at it. She's hanging in there, and she picks it up again with help from Corbin, but
Casibo dropping it off here to Herdine. Herdine chased back, and we'll give it back to Paige Casibo, and they'll work the right side. Now Phoebe Bachmeyer is in there, number 72, a freshman. She goes to the net and promptly gets herself on the scoreboard. Maple Grove seemingly can do no wrong here in this first half. They have looked very good.
And they're going to have a goaltending switch. You see this move right here, just a quick hesitation coming through and just beats the defender and gets an established position. The double team comes, but it's too late by then. She goes right over the top and does a high-low shot. And Dalton's going to get replaced now. And I don't think it's all her fault. I don't think the defenders have really done a tremendous job of keeping those Crimson attackers at bay. Established a lot of position inside the 8-meter mark.
Laura Schmierer coming into the game for the Elks, and you saw Coach Anderson talking with Dalton. Hard to say if it's a rest of the game thing for sure. They may come back with her after halftime. But here's Herdine looking for space here for the Crimson.
Yeah, I see a lot of the Elk River defenders, Jay, also going to where the player is and not to where the player is going to be. And they need to take a couple steps and get in the way a little bit. If they establish positions, just like basketball, it puts it on the Maple Grove player to move. And they haven't done enough of that in the first half.
Bree Case in there handling it. Now shifting it over as they come to the left side to try and start an attack here. Becky Getch. Casebo.
Oh, man, don't do that to Casebo. She'll take off on you. You know, she plays a little hesitation half step and goes fairly slow, but when she decides to turn the jets on, she can go.
Annie Dalton trying to harass her a little bit. Looks like they want to play for one last shot here as we're under 35 seconds to go in this first half. You know, and even if it doesn't result in a goal late, you still take away any chance for Elk River to feel good about things at the end.
Yep.
Grace Ford. Turning, looking to the middle, trying to bounce one home, and instead it goes a little bit wide and scooped up there by Hallie Johnson. Looking to quickly counter here, Elk River, whoops, and Hartledge falls down. And picked up by the Crimson, and the half will come to an end. And what a first half for the top seed Maple Grove. As they have dominated the first half, they jump out to a 15-4 lead at halftime here in our Section 8 Girls Lacrosse semifinal. We'll have first half highlights and then our second half here from Maple Grove in just a moment on CCX Sports.
The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. They're my savior. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Rather dominant performance in the first half by the top seed Maple Grove, leading Elk River Rogers Zimmerman 15-4 as we check out some first half highlights in this Section 8 semifinal. Elk River getting a good start there as their leader Raylan Kornek scoring just 43 seconds in, but it was mostly Maple Grove after that. Pass dropped off there, and Corbin putting a goal away. There's Johnson scoring for the Elk, or Baranek scoring that previous one, I should have said, and then Johnson scoring. A little shovel attempt there was stopped. Dalton had a few nice saves early, but then later in the half got pulled out. There's Francis coming up with a stop for the Crimson, and right back the other way, Maple Grove with Bye finishing, as they really got on a good roll right around that time. They scored 3 goals in about a minute. Put another one away right there. Casebo. She had a string of 3 straight goals, and there's Francis, one save and then another. So certainly their scoring and their faceoffs have been the dominant part, but Francis has done a good job as well. So we'll see if Maple Grove can keep it up or if Elk River Rogers Zimmerman has a little fight and will make a game of this yet. 15-4 Crimson at halftime. We'll be right back here on CCX Sports.
Every time I hear the alarm bell go off in school, I think it's an air raid.
A lot of houses in our neighborhood have been destroyed. I like to close my ears and sing songs whenever the bombs come close.
I'm worried our new neighbors won't like us.
But I know it's all gonna be worth it. I just want my family to be safe. But these are not my words.
These are not my words.
These are not my words.
Warm early evening here at Maple Grove, and Maple Grove is pretty much clicked on all cylinders in this first half, Dan. I mean, obviously we don't see them on a regular basis every night in, night out, but I have to believe that's one of the better halves they've played this year.
Yeah, I would have to say they were clicking on all cylinders. They're usually a slow starter. Throughout the course of the year, their first half has been their worst half, and they've only averaged about 21 goals. 21 total goals in the first half. In the second half, they pounded in 84. So this could be a little scary for ERZ right now, knowing that Maple Grove's better half is the second half. So, but they're looking really good right now.
I think in a lot of ways, too, they're liking the way that they have accomplished this, too. It's not, they're not getting fluky goals, or they're not having one player just run through the pack and score. They're doing a lot of things that they need to do to build this lead, including winning a lot of those draws.
Elk River's got to make a change. They've got to get somebody else in there to take the draws and win a few here. They need 4 or 5 good, strong, scoring possessions to get themselves even with a glimpse of trying to get back into this game. That would get them up to 9 for 15. I mean, right now, 11 goals, boy, that's a big spread in lacrosse, and we've seen them, do some comebacks, but that's an awful big one. And Maple Grove is showing. I firmly believe that this team, if they get to state, has a shot at least getting to the championship game. I don't know if they're on an Eden Prairie Blake level right now, but I'll tell you what, all cylinders are running, and we've seen a lot of different people scoring for them, not just the stars. So it's a big task for ERZ now. They need to change their draw person. Get a little tougher on defense. Establish position inside that 8-meter angle area, and don't let him walk in the front door.
Well, we saw Laura Schmier come in right before halftime, and she is going to be the goalie for the second half. So Emma Dalton, who had been, their veteran and their clear number one, they felt, wasn't stopping some of the shots that she possibly could have been. And sometimes, too, like we say, just to change things up a little bit. And I thought maybe they would come back with her to begin the second half, but that is obviously not the case. So Laura will get the call here for ERZ. Talk to the coaches, and said that on the varsity level, it's I don't believe any Zimmerman players, a handful of Rogers and mainly Elk River, but we were discussing, whether they might eventually have a separate Rogers team at least, and it doesn't look like Zimmerman is. That's not going to be the case for a long time, if ever. But for Rogers, we said the boys have a separate team and have for a few years now, and it's probably headed that way for the girls, although maybe not, right on the doorstep.
Probably a couple to 3 years away, but the youth program is building, just evidenced by the young age of this Elk River team.
And that one whistled home there by Hallie Johnson, and Francis kind of trying to get out of the way of that one.
Okay. Hallie Johnson coming with a little bit of frustration, I think, built up, and she's got a nice smile on her face. She knew she ripped that one pretty good, but got a free position there and just got all the way through and just ripped it really fast, and Francis just didn't have a prayer on it.
Number 20, Hallie Johnson.
So Hallie Johnson will get her second goal of the game for Elk River, but still a long road back, obviously, for the Elks here.
Well, now it's key. See if they can get a draw and come right back down and see if they can put another one in. All right,
and
good
it is
start.
Kornek ends up winning that faceoff there for the Elks with some speed to the front. They get back into position to shut her down a little bit, and now over to Annie Dalton. Drops it back. Kornek to the front, turns and buries the low shot. And Elk River getting a couple in a row. And here's where, if you're Maple Grove coaches, you're reminding your players it isn't over at halftime, no matter what.
Well, a good response by the Elks, Jay. Okay, they could have just said, thrown in the towel and said, okay, that's enough. But Hallie Johnson and Raylan Kornek, two of their leading scorers in the top three have come back with some authority here and have gone after it. And Annie Dalton, their second leading scorer, was the one that had the assist on Kornek's goal there, so she's getting involved. And you got to get all three of them involved here. But the key was Kornek won that draw to come right back down. So they need at least three more here before Maple Grove scores. At least get them back into reaching distance anyway.
Off the draw, still on the ground there, and Kornek ultimately comes up with it. Boy, she's a hustler too. I mean, she runs. She's obviously got great skill, but you see her cover a lot of ground as well.
Well, I think there's an element of adrenaline frustration there too. I don't think she's happy with their performance so far, and she's trying to do everything she can to get them back in the game. And
pass flicked out front and by, unable to gain control there. Now Catherine McMillan working it up left side to Springman here for the Elks. Springman's pass ahead a little bit too high there for Unock.
Boy, the Maple Grove really good about pushing it back into some open space where their player get it. But Elk River's battling back here. They're getting into these ground ball wars, which you got to really start contesting harder and it's just stopping Maple Grove from flowing so easily like they did in the first half.
Taylor Helvey controlling here, trying to get it to Herdeen. Nice stick though by Hartledge. However, Herdeen winds up back with it again and scores. Oh, that's got to be frustrating if you're Elk River right there. Did a pretty good job for the first portion of that play, and then Herdeen just does a great job of coming up with that ground ball and promptly puts it away.
Just a force of wills here in Herdeen. I mean, I remember her sister playing hockey for the Maple Grove Crimson. Very aggressive, very in-your-face type player, and Emily's doing the same thing here. Gets it and just goes high-low on it. And from that range, she's not going to miss. Seventh goal. That gives her 56 goals for the year. She's had a remarkable year, Jay, and it's scary. She's got 2 more years left. She's going to be a very scary player here in the future.
I think that was a pretty important one for Maple Grove, too, just to kind of break the momentum a little bit of Elk River and get themselves calmed down a little bit. Kornek winds up with that one and now sends it to Springman. Springman stepping to the front, trying to shovel it in with the backhand, and it floats over the net. Francis, you remarked about it earlier, Dan. She's not somebody who gets all wound up and making a lot of extra movement out there. She kind of just calmly watched that one go by the net.
Well, she's bringing that hockey mentality. All right, they scored one on me. I'll stop the next one, though. She just doesn't let it bug her.
I think that's, obviously not having any lacrosse playing experience myself, but I think for goalies in this sport, one of the key things is to really kind of get it in your head that it's not the end of the world if you give up a goal, because it's going to happen a lot in this sport. Yeah, you're trying to stop everything, but if you get psyched out by letting a goal get past you, or you don't make every stop that you want to, you're going to find it very difficult to be a good goalie.
Yes.
You got to have a short memory, I guess is what I'm trying to say there.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, when you're dealing with a game where 60% save percentage is good. Oh my
what
gosh.
a play there.
Wow.
Baranek setting up Helvey. That was a perfect assist.
You know, Hallie, that's the second time. She's just held her position on the side of the net, and when the ball comes to her, she's been able just to very smoothly grab it and throw it in the net. And just a nice little play. Again, an unselfish play. That's the great thing about the Crimson game here, Jay. They just move the ball to each other. It's not about one person. Who's ever open gets it.
Baranek had a goal very early in the game. I think this assist might be even more impressive, though. Watch her draw the defender, spin away from her, and then she could have had a shot herself, but she sees Helvey maybe an even better one, and just like that, it's in the back of the net.
And you see how quickly Helvey got it and threw it in the net. And you made that point. They're not missing the net. They're not missing the net at all. They're getting it on goal.
Pass dropped off here to Herdeen. Herdeen, that time is denied. But they pick it up again, Baranek. And able to bury that one up high as Emma Dalton is back in goal for Elk River, and didn't seem to matter there as Baranek able to get it over the top and in, and Maple Grove now has scored 3 straight after Elk River kind of threatened to maybe creep back in it just a little bit anyway.
Well, I think they poked the bear. And Maple Grove's quickness, strength, and just overall fast play is really showing itself here. They're just beating Elk River to the spot. See a nice play here. And the save, denied. But they come right back again and go high on it and beat Dalton there.
Hallie Johnson on the move here for the Elks. She gets right to the front and wastes no time putting that one away for ERZ. So the teams kind of trade goals here in the last couple minutes.
Well, it's kind of been a ratio of Elk River scores a goal, Maple Grove scores 3. Elk River scores a goal, and then Maple Grove scores 3. They're just having a tough time shutting them down.
Yeah, and sometimes in a section semifinal, having 7 at this point in the game would generally still have you within pretty good striking range, if not ahead. But when you're giving up goals at the rate they have, Maple Grove is still very much in a comfortable lead here at 18-7.
You know, a lot of Elk River's games here, the other team very rarely got to double figures, and when they did, they lost. But they've been very good about shutting people down, holding them to 3 goals, to 7 goals, to 9 goals, whatever.
Here comes Kornek. Gonna look to attack the net here and got thumped on the head there, it looked like, by Becky Bulkey for Maple Grove.
I don't blame Bulkey on that one, though. I mean, Kornek was so shifty there, and she probably ran into a stick a little bit. Yeah. Took her totally off balance. This young lady needs to get going here, the other Dalton.
Annie Dalton's pass, juggled and then held on to, but then the shot mostly blocked. They'll send it over to Coco Francis here. Pass does not connect, but then the Elks missed a chance to scoop that one up, and here comes Baranek.
Got to pick that up, Elk River. You got to pick it up.
Whoops. Rare unforced error there for Maple Grove tonight, and back the other way it comes now is Hallie Johnson, who has good wheels. Johnson right to the front and buries another one. So she has really stepped up to try and aid Kornek in the Elk scoring here, but
got it back to within 10. Yeah, she's been rocking and rolling. Just got good jets, like you said. She really makes some nice moves here, and she split the D and came in and got a good shot on Francis.
So 3 goals in this half now for Johnson, and 4 total.
That's giving her 19 goals. Hopefully she can get to 20 this for the season here.
talking earlier about maybe a little bit of an overall team speed edge for Maple Grove, but Johnson is the one of the Elks that clearly has some good wheels there too.
And I don't think the Crimson are giving her the attention and focus they give to Kornek, compared to, because obviously Kornek's got the reputation, but Johnson's a good player in her own right.
Here comes Kornek for the Elks. Forced to the outside, now flips the pass, and here's the low shot and a goal. Riley Springman finishing here, and ERZ has put 3 in a row on the board. And just when we were starting to kind of count them out, they are, I wouldn't say back in it,
but they're fighting back,
chipping away anyway.
Yeah. But nice place by Kornek here. She knew she tried, and she came around the net, and she found the open person and got the ball to her and did a nice job. See the hesitation move. She gets up front. She finds the open. Oh, look at a little bit of a look away there. That was a nice move. Springman got it, went to her right, and put it away. That would be Kornek's 16th assist of the season, so she isn't just about the goals. She has tried to distribute the ball around a little bit. But the key there, Jay, is she won the draw.
So it's an 18-9 lead now for Maple Grove after Elk River scored 3 straight, answering the 3 straight that Maple Grove had put up on the board prior to that. And again, they're doing a little bit better job on these draws here.
The stick got up in the halo area, so it'll be a free position for Elk River.
Cutting right to the front here. Oh, and Francis able to rob Annie Dalton. But they give it away, and here come the Elks again with Hallie Johnson. Johnson to the front, drops the pass off, and they missed the net there.
Did Francis get a piece of that? I think she did. Glanced off her basket, I think. We'll see a nice play, and Francis just got it out there, made a nice save there. Be interested to see that last shot, if she got a piece of that.
Elk River, it's kind of now or never. If they're going to have to continue the pace they've scored at lately here to have any prayer of getting really back fully into this. And an opportunity missed there as Francis coming up with the stop there on Kornek. But they turn it over once more, and then a trip, not really on purpose, but nonetheless it happened. So Elk River will get the ball right back. They're really playing with a sense of urgency right now, and obviously still very tall order to catch up. But here's Kornek, and scores.
All right, they got her down to 8. That's the closest they've been in a long time. Am I right? Yeah, 8. So they got it to Kornek. She knew just what to do with it. She had a little hesitation catching it. I think she's a little anxious, and she had forced the previous play just knowing the situation they were in, but it's a good start here. Good pickup here. And then she went high-low again on Coco Francis. If you take a straight shot on Coco Francis, she's shown that she'll make the save.
Kornek did a pretty good job of disguising that one, too. It wasn't, a lot of extra motion. It was just kind of subtle.
And again, here's where the draws are going to come into play.
And Elk River controls it. Johnson out of there with it. Here comes Kornek. Kornek will drop the pass off. Sarah Parent.
Oh.
And Francis did a great job intercepting that pass. First of all, reading where it was going to go, but then getting the basket to it.
And it was a good idea by ERZ there, too. They had person wide open in the guts, and Francis had good awareness that time and made a really nice play.
Grace Hansen on the move up the left side here for Maple Grove. They'd like to break the momentum a little bit of Elk River, and Hansen was checked there, and it'll be Maple Grove possession.
I'll get another look at that save. Now, here's the play, the pass coming through, and you could see the player was open in the middle there, and boy, she just snagged that off real nice.
Okay, here's an opportunity from the free position here for Maple Grove. Say for Francis on the last one, you kind of help yourself as like an extra defender when you can intercept passes too, not just block shots.
Yeah. No, you got to make use of that big basket. I mean, that's a huge basket to work with, and it should be able to block out anything coming over the top or into the middle that's even close to being within range.
Good read by Johnson there as she comes up with the steal. Being pursued from behind, she felt it coming. Drops the pass off here. And that shot, I think, hit the goalpost, or after a little piece of it by Francis. That was Jenna Kornek. Jenna Kornek gets it back here for ERZ. Goes to the front. Francis denies her.
All of a sudden, Coco Francis is making her presence known here right when they need it. She's just stopping that Elk River momentum. Oh, nice move.
Andrea Coons. You can see Maple Grove, feeling the pressure a little bit right now as Elk River's come back strong on them, but now Baranek.
Boy, a little nasty defense going on there. The Elks are really kind of stepping up to the plate here. I think they didn't like being down that much, and they're seeing a little bit of hope now being within 8 goals.
They'll try and work it back upfield here as Sarah Parent's pass gets away. Annie Dalton on the move here for ERZ. Flicks the pass over and knocked away, but not legally so, as Riley Springman tried to line it up to shoot.
Yeah, I got that stick up again. Now she'll get a free position here. Now Springman has been able to put the ball in the net. We'll see if she gets a straight up shot or tries to dish it off to somebody who's open. Down in the corner, you see who's open down there?
Yep, Dalton is waiting.
Yep.
And instead going to go right to the net and bounce it home as Springman scores another. And Elk River, Roger Zimmerman has 5 straight goals in this game. So when it seemed like they might be out of it, it's not quite the case.
Oh, we just had a timeout. And I believe it was called by Maple Grove.
Scoring her second goal for the Elks.
Okay. Nice opportunity there. Springman actually kind of looked over toward Dalton. I think it got Francis off it a little bit, and then she came in with a high-low, and that's how they've been getting it by Francis. But you got to give Francis credit, too, Jay. This last 3-4 rushes, she's really stepped up to the plate and made him work for those goals.
Coach Anderson hoping it's not too little too late, as they've obviously started to play a whole lot better than they did for much of the first half, but still trailing by 7.
Well, big key here, they've won some draws. They've won the turnover and ground ball battle, and most importantly, they ain't letting Maple Grove set that offense up. They're getting some nasty defense going. They've seen some good stick checks and some good denial of territory. They are starting to get in position and letting Maple Grove walk wherever they want to in their zone, and it's made a lot of difference here. Now, with 9:33 ready to go, there's still plenty of time to finish this off, but it's still going to take a lot of work. It'll be a massive effort, but I think they're feeling it a little bit right now.
Yeah, you look at the clock and you look at the score, and they're very much still mathematically in this one. And now I think they're starting to believe. Mm-hmm. And for Maple Grove, you try to put the brakes on things, but you don't want to start to play cautious either. And it's always momentum's a funny thing to predict and to change.
Mm-hmm. No, they just got to get back to answering the bell, and I think there's been some panic going on with them in the attack zone where they've started forcing issues and walking into Elk River's defense. Pull it back, play the patience game. To be honest with you, you tell your team you don't have to score anymore. You got the lead right now. Work the ball. Take time away. Time is your best friend here if you're Maple Grove. Use it to your advantage. Don't push. Take your time. But I like the way Elk River's kind of stepped up to play and say, we're not going to let you play patient. The minute you step across into our area, we're going to go after you. And they've had to. And they've done a pretty good job here in this part of the second half to get going. So we'll see what happens here. Again, these draws are going to be really important.
Well, I was just thinking that, Dan. Obviously a lot of different elements go into things, but it all starts first and foremost with the huge change we've had in the second half in draws. I mean, it was almost all Maple Grove in the first half. whereas Elk River has won more than their share in the second, and that's been the big catalyst to get him going.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to bet you, Jay, that Maple Grove won 90% of the draws in that first half. I mean, it wasn't even close. And so now we'll see what happens. The funny thing, both teams have a variety of draw people. I mean, got Hallie Johnson, Riley Springman, and of course Kornek for Elk River, and we got Grace Ford, Paige Casebo, and of course we've seen Emily Herdine out there taking most of them in the game, but Casebo's now taking the draws.
Yep, and they end up with this one. Herdine will come up with it. Getting it over to Corbin. Corbin turning on the speed. Lots of defenders in the way, though, so she will back it out. And I think they want a possession that takes a little bit of time here for Maple Grove. I mean, yeah, you want a goal too, but you also really want to control things and eat up the clock a little bit. Here's Bachmeyer. Cut off, so she shovels it away.
Good recovery by the Elk River defender there. Got herself back in position. And, you know, this is going to reach a certain point where here comes a double team right there.
You can see Maple Grove getting instruction from their bench. You know, they're definitely trying to use that clock right now. You want to stay spread out enough that the defenders can't, you know, jump and throw that double on too.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other part too is if I'm coach, make sure Paige Casebo's got the ball. Wow, that surprised me. I don't think she had the ball taken away from her once in the first half.
But scraps to get it back.
Like I said, she's the person you hate to have on the other team and love to have on your team. She's just a pest.
Corbin. And
did she step out of bounds?
I think they ruled that she was pushed, though.
Yeah, illegal contact.
So Corbin given direction on where to start from here. Maple Grove leading at 18-11. It looked like they were going to walk away with this one for a while. It was 15-4 Crimson at halftime, and then after Elk River scored a couple, then Maple Grove put 3 in a row on the board. And at that point, I pretty much thought, well, this one's over. But then Elk River has come back very strong. But here is a goal for Maple Grove's Chloe Corbin to break the streak of Elks goals there, as they had scored 5 in a row prior to that one. Corbin finishes right there for the Crimson.
Well, the freshman stepping up to the plate, makes a nice move from the back end of the field, comes right to the front, gives a look at the back, and steps up. Dalton really had to come up and get in her grill on that one and just really don't let her have that free motion in front. She just stood there and was able to twist herself around to get a good shot. And you just can't let somebody of Corbin's ability do that. Now, that was her 26th goal of the year. These young players on Maple Grove, Jay, have been very, very impressive all the way down the pike. They played very, very well. Corbin and Herdine done a great job. Good answer here by Elk River.
Kornek comes up with the draw and goes to the front, drops. Well, she wanted to drop a pass off, it looked like. Instead, floated it right to Francis. And now Casebo back the other way. That might be looked at as a pretty big missed opportunity if you're the Elks right there.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, here's where that good point guard on your team takes over and knows exactly what to do and is just not messing around anymore. Knows what the advantage is, and she's just kind of like, okay, what are you going to do? You going to take it away from me? I don't think so.
And that pass tipped, and now Corbin gets it. The point being, too, though, you know, even if she did ultimately lose it down there, that you've still done your job by getting the ball in deep and also taking that a little bit of time. They need that more than they need goals even right now. Corbin drops the pass back, but a call here going against Elk River as that pass was made. So Herdine will get it from the free position here.
You know, at this point with Herdine on it, you go score. Don't waste any time.
Oh! Dalton able to make a stop there for ERZ.
Boy, he used her body really nice, closed it up. Boy, they needed that, Jay. They needed that save big time. Ardennes rips it and goes high-low. Nice play by Dalton, man.
Caught it between her forearm and her leg there.
Yeah.
I agree with you, though. That was the right play to obviously try and score from that spot if you're anybody, but especially Ardennes. But that time Dalton won the battle.
And the RZ got a little two players got a little too close to each other and let that Maple Grove double team take the ball away. And boy, look at the patience here by the Crimson.
Francis throwing it upfield. They're not able to connect, and the ERZ coming back. However, they throw an errant pass too, but it ultimately still gets up front, and the goal is buried by Riley Springman. Elk River's Roger Zimmerman not done yet.
Boy, Springman's really stepped up in the second half for ERZ. You know, what is that, her third goal? Yeah, and two in the second half, and they really needed her to step it up here. And Coco Francis kind of getting left hung out to dry. Some good passes here. Great pass right there. And Springman didn't waste any time before they could close. She hit the 8-meter mark and just let her rip high-low.
So a 19-12 lead now for Maple Grove.
You know, and for Elk River, it's been not just, Kornek. It's been a number of players here that have stepped to Springman, and Johnson's really gotten back into her game and done a good job.
Ardennes possessing now for Maple Grove. Drops it out front. And a nice stop by Dalton as she is able to rob Veronic.
Good play by Dalton there, too. Patience. Don't give it up real quick here. There's Crimson players all around.
You give Dalton a little credit, too. As she's made some big stops late. She was pulled earlier in the game. It wasn't, one of her best nights maybe, and one of the best as a team defensively. And there's a goal by her sister right there, by Jenna Kornek there for ERZ, and so she gets herself on the board as they have chipped it down to 6. Still not quite in the books yet.
Well, they ain't quitting, and again we hear from the other Kornek here, and she's had a pretty good year too. Actually that's only her second goal of the year, but they needed other players to step up to get them back in here, so they're answering, and for one, they're outscoring Maple Grove in this half. So what do we got left? We got 4:32. Okay, I would expect now you're going to see a lot more double teams coming from their defense to really pluck that ball away from the Crimson when they don't win the draw.
They go back to Ardennes for this draw. Casebo had taken a couple of recent ones. Mainly stuck with Kornek tonight for ERZ. And it's Maple Grove possession as Casebo winds up with it here for Grove.
Here comes the double team. Yep, they're going to start pulling the double team. I think that's a great move. Why not? What the heck?
There's some good speed by Corbin, though, to turn the corner. Drops the pass off. Helvey to the front. Didn't see anything she liked there, so they continue moving it.
She was thinking about it, though, but a really smart move on her part. Don't shoot it. You don't have to shoot it. Just relax, control it. And you see they're running more time off and more time off. It's about time for a double team to start coming.
Wheeler gives it to Ardennes here as we're under 4 minutes to play. Maple Grove hanging on here. It seemed like they were going to blow this team out for a while, but Elk River Roger Zimmerman was fought back into it at 19-13. And Maple Grove, though, still in command and chewing up a good, valuable amount of time on this possession.
That double's got to start coming here pretty quick.
Corbin working around a screen there.
Here we go.
Corbin sprinting past the double team right there. She's going to shovel it over to Helvey.
Helvey not being as comfortable with that ball in her hands, but, oh, gee, guess who they found?
Yeah, right back to Casebo. And of course, that's the thing. When if Maple Grove maintains proper spacing, it is hard to double team. You got to run a long way to even come close to making an impact there, and they're kind of making them pay. And it wouldn't surprise you if Elk River is a little tired right now too, trying to come back so hard on this hot evening.
Well, and this double team has got to come, and what it means is the next time the ball moves, you're probably going to have to get your goalie out there in the double team and get her out of the net.
Drop the pass off to Helvey. They've been able to chew up almost 2 minutes on this possession right here. Nice spin by Casebo. Now Helvey putting it out front and chasing after it. Getch able to scoop it up.
Nice play by Getch there. Really tense situation. They thought they had an opening, and boy, look at how she's played. She's just being a dart out there.
Well, a little bit of fresh legs, I think, too. She's played a little bit, but not all night long, and probably has more left in the tank than a lot of these players for both teams that have been running around in the heat for so long. Pass dropped off here. 1.5 minutes to go. Maple Grove has done a superb job here of maintaining possession. Elk River was still, kind of at least close to being back within striking distance when it got to 6, but they've been able to use up about 3 minutes so far.
Yeah, and they're playing this off really well. The spacing's good. I mean, this is, you got to give Coach Karate a lot of credit where she's really taught these girls about spacing and about movement and the right thing to do with the ball. I mean, it took one timeout, and all of a sudden this just changed all of a sudden. And Maple Grove's, playing with smarts. And they got a lot of freshmen out there, Jay, and then she trusts them to get out there and do the right thing.
Well, when I talked to their captains at about the beginning of the season, too, they talked about how Hallie has worked a lot with the youth program, and they feel like you can see now the players that are coming into the program as 9th graders or 10th graders, their skill level is a lot higher than even just the preceding group of from the last 3-4 years ago.
Yep. You get a good shot at Coach Karate. She's done a remarkably good job here, and I'll tell you what, this Maple Grove team is going to be a force in the next few years. I'll tell you what, they are good.
They are going to get a chance to play for a section championship on Wednesday night. Again, they would play the winner of the Buffalo versus Osseo Park Center game coming up Wednesday over at Osseo High School. And clock ticking down toward the end here. That went out of play. We'll have just a few seconds left here when we resume. So a very strong first half for Maple Grove. Elk River came back hard at them in the second half, but then the Crimson able to use some clock burning for the last 4 minutes or so. They've possessed this ball. Now they finally turn it over, but it's going to be at the end of the contest. So it is Maple Grove moving on. Again, they will play for a section championship. They've won 2 of the last 3 seasons. They've been in the state tournament. They're trying to do it again here in 2017. And Dan, if they play the way they did for most of tonight, certainly have a pretty good shot on Wednesday.
They're going to have a really good shot at it. I tell you, this team is strong. It's got depth. It's got firepower, plays good defense. And as we saw, Coco Francis can play a little goaltender when she puts her mind to it. So a nice win for the Crimson. They played it smart, played their game as they normally do. And good for Elk River. You got to give them credit. They could have folded up the tents after the first half, Jay, and they really came back hard and they actually outscored Maple Grove in the second half and played well. But they've had a good season, and they're young too. We could see this game in sections in a few final scenarios here in the next few years too, because they're young too.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed tonight's action here. You watch for the semifinal between Maple Grove and Elk River Rogers Zimmerman boys teams as well on CCX Sports. Again, Maple Grove advances to the Section 8 final. Your final score here this evening, Maple Grove 19, Elk River Rogers Zimmerman 13. Good night from Maple Grove. Elks.